guys, it's me Daily and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be filming my summer wrap-up. Let's just get into the video. I have read 16 books total, I think. These are all the books here. I've turned them around. I mean, besides this gap here, you can't see them all, but there's 16 of them here with the white back, so I thought once I talk about it, I'll flip them around. I'm currently on my 17th book of the summer. Summer's not over technically for me until like a week and a half from now. So the first book I read this summer is a reread for me, but it was a great time, and that is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Barron. I read this book last summer and it was just a blast. I read it in like 4 days last summer and it was just so incredible. So yeah, I reread this. It was just as great as the first time, if not better. Let me see, I put a note in the back. It was 4.5 out of 5 stars. Once again, the ending like doesn't do it for me completely, but the ending is so like action-packed and like thrilling and exciting. It's just so good. The next book I ended up finishing this summer was Dear Evan Hansen, and this is the book I immediately picked up right after I finished Cinderella is Dead. We went book shopping in Branson, which I read Cinderella is Dead and Dear Evan Hansen while I was in Branson, Missouri, because we go there every summer. It's about Evan Hansen. He writes letters to himself for his therapist because that's what his therapist wants him to do, is write, Dear Evan Hansen, today's going to be a great day and here's why. One day he runs into Connor Murphy, which is his crush's brother, and Connor gets a hold of Evan's letter and he storms out and takes the letter with him, and sadly Connor takes his own life, and Connor's parents believe that the last thing he left for them was a letter to Dear Evan Hansen, or to Evan Hansen. It was so good. I read it in like 3 days, which is really good for me. Anyway, this book is so well written. It made me want to cry, and the reason I wanted it is because I was like, I saw the trailer for the movie and it looks so good. Like, Ben Platt is all I pictured when I was reading this book, like just Ben Platt all the way. And it was such a great fan-freaking-tastic book. And it was such a great time picturing the characters, like what they're gonna look like in the movie that comes out in less than a month. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. This book is just incredible all the way through, but at the ending, I just didn't feel closure. I don't know how to say it. I just didn't feel like what should have happened. Oh my gosh. And just like the movie cover, I mean, look, I just bought this yesterday. Oh my god. No offense, but I like the movie cover better than the actual cover. It is so gorgeous. I love it. Anyway, Dear Evan Hansen, really freaking amazing book. The next book I ended up reading is Small Spaces, and this is by Catherine Arden. This is the first book in, I believe, a trilogy by her, and this one is about the 3 main characters. We have Ollie, Coco, and Brian, who are fighting these evil scarecrows. They go on a school field trip, and they have to beat the Smiling Man at his own game. So there's a Smiling Man, which is creepy, and there is a bunch of scarecrows trying to capture them and make them into scarecrows. 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was really spooky, but the reason it wasn't like the best it could have been is because it was a little too fast paced for me. It's just like we were somewhere and then we were somewhere else. Just really fast paced, and you couldn't really sit in one spot for too long in the story before you're traveling somewhere else through the woods or through the cornfields or whatever you're traveling through in this book. When I was reading this, Coco really wasn't my favorite. She was my least favorite, actually. She just didn't do it for me. She just really got on my nerves. She was kind of whiny and annoying. So that's unfortunate, but it was still really fun. So I really like this book. It's super cute and fun, and I'm really happy I read it. I've been looking forward to reading. I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, so I'm really happy I finally got to it. The next book I ended up reading this summer was The Maidens, and this is by Alex Michaelides. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. And this was my book of the month. What month was it? June, and it was really interesting. I'm really happy I read it because it was just, it's like a what is it, dark academia. So Mariana, the main character, gets a call from her niece Zoe, I'm pretty sure, and she learns that Zoe's best friend has been murdered, and To comfort Zoe, Mariana goes to check up on her, drives over to the campus or the school that Zoe is staying at, and along the way she tries to unravel the mystery to see who is guilty, and she's got her eyes set on the professor, Edward Fosca, at this school, and it's just really interesting. The plot twists, I don't remember. Like, the ending plot twist wasn't my favorite. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't my favorite. I feel like that's a lot of make or break points for a lot of people who have read this book and say they really didn't like the ending or they really, really loved it. But for me, it was like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I rated it 5 out of 5, but it was just not, the ending just wasn't as action-packed as I thought it would be. And other than that, though, it was really great. Like, the characters in here are so well developed. It's also Greek mythology, filled with Greek mythology things. I'm looking forward to reading The Silent Patient. I also have that book by him, and I'm so excited to see what that one is like and if I like it more than this one. But yeah, this was such a great book. The next book I finished was Go the Distance, and this is by Jen Kalanita. This is a part of the Disney's Twisted Tales series, and it says, what if Meg had to become a Greek god? Once again, Greek mythology, Greek gods, whatever you want to say. So this follows Meg, so it doesn't follow Hercules, which I really like. It's like taking a turn on the story, because before in the movie we focused more on Hercules, and this time we get to see what Meg thinks about what's going on. We take place like right after the ending of the movie, so they're on like the cloud Mount Olympus or whatever it's called, and they're up in the sky. It's right after Hercules saves Meg, but in this case Zeus will not allow him to go back on Earth and be immortal with Meg. He wants him to stay on Mount Olympus. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, Mount Olympus, with him and become a god. So he will not allow Hercules to go with Meg on Earth. So Hera, I don't know how to pronounce it, but she offers Meg like a little deal on doing a quest to become a Greek god to stay with Hercules for forever on Mount Olympus. So yeah, so she takes the offer up, and throughout the story we get to see like her emotions and how she feels about the situation, if she's really in love with Hercules the way he's in love with her, how deeply she cares for him. We discover all that, which was really interesting. We also learn about her past, which is really interesting as well. And when we first got going, it was really fun and really great, but the ending freaking destroyed that for me. It was just not good. It wasn't a terrible book, but it just wasn't that great in my opinion because of the ending. It did get a little slow towards the end, and once we got to her final quest, she took the freaking easy way out, and I didn't like that, because it's like the whole time we're building up to this moment throughout the book. It's like she doesn't fight it out. I thought she would be like, you know, girl power and be like really like action-packed, intense ending that like she's like fighting off like Hades or whatever in the underworld, but it's not. It's not. She takes the simplest way out, and it's just like the ending is supposed to be a little bit emotional, but it's not to me. It just wasn't. It didn't hit, because I was so disappointed by how she just didn't do any work. She just like made an offer. She didn't end up really, you know, getting in there and being like really good at what she does and being strong to herself, or whatever you want to say. She just really like didn't do that, and that's really what made this book not so good for me. Of course there was some slow parts, but other than that, just the ending did not satisfy me at all. The next book I ended up picking up this summer was Uzumaki, and this is a really chunky horror manga. This is by Junji Ito. Yeah, so Uzumaki is really large, and this is a horror manga based off of spirals. So this town is like corrupted by spirals or something. I don't know how to explain it, but their town is taken over by spirals. Slowly it starts off with little things like little shells, and then it like just takes over everything, and it's so cool to see how it changes over time, like how much more of a problem it becomes in the town. And the ending was not my favorite, but like it was still really, really good. My only question is, what happened to her brother? Oh my god, and when you start to read this story, it just all builds up, and there's so many, like there's separate stories in here, but they all revolve around what's going on in the town and how each person is dealing with the spiral curse, or whatever you want to say. It is so interesting and so disturbing. The illustrations in here are so disturbing, and the story and what happens, it's just really disturbing and like gross, but it was It was so good. You know, 5 out of 5 stars for this one. The next book I ended up reading is another one that kind of surrounds Greek mythology in a way. So this one is This Poison Heart, and this is by Kaylin Bayron. This just released this summer, and it is going to be, I believe, a trilogy. Or a duology. I think it's a trilogy though, because this left off on a cliffhanger, and I cannot wait for the second book to come out next year. This is a Secret Garden retelling, and I really enjoyed it. It was a 4 to 5 stars. I kind of read it off and on. I was stuck on this book for about 2.5, 3 weeks. It took a long time to get through the book, but the ending, dang, I was still so invested in the story, even though it took me a long time to finish it. It was still super duper interesting. Like, the ending, just, I like expected the ending. I knew the plot twist, but like the way it wrapped up was so like incredible to me. It just, the ending, I loved the ending so much. It is LGBTQ plus. So Bree, her mom and her mom, so Mo and Mom, her two moms, her parents, her mom and Mo and Mom are her parents, and they're so cute together. I love them so much. So not only is it LGBTQ plus with her moms, but she also has some love interests throughout the story. Like I said, it's a Secret Garden retelling. There's a lot of Greek mythology mixed in there. It was kind of confusing for me, but overall it was still really good. So yeah, that's all I have to say for This Poison Heart. It was just an incredible book, and I cannot wait for the sequel. The next book I ended up reading in the summer was a graphic novel that released also this summer, and that is Goldilocks Wanted Dead or Alive, and this is by Chris Colfer. This is a part of the Land of Stories series, so I finished the Land of Stories series like a year ago maybe. I need more. So when I freaking found out that this was a thing, like the day before it released, I found out that this was happening, and I was like, I gotta pre-order it because, or like get it, because I've always wanted more of the Bailey twins, which you don't get in this case, but it's in the same world and it's following Goldilocks. And Jack, oh my god, Jack, you man, oh my god, he's just so sweet. There were some parts I got kind of bored because it was a lot of like royalty talk. Like, they were discussing what's going on with Goldilocks and the Dwarf Forest or whatever, and like the rebellion or whatever it's called. But it was so action-packed, and the characters, when they were like building up like people for battle in the Dwarf Forest, it was really funny to see like the group they had. It was just really cute and funny. I really liked it, so it was a 4 to 5 stars for me. The next book I ended up finishing this summer was We Are Lost and Found, and this is by Helene Dunbar. I listened to the audiobook for this again in the 24-hour readathon video, and it was like fine, but it was 2 out of 5 stars because I tabbed it. I'm gonna take the tabs out and actually get rid of the book because I don't need it in my life. I wanted to relate to it so bad. It is LGBTQ plus, which is so nice. Michael, but he's used to being like everyone's second choice or like last choice, and he wants to be someone's first choice, and then he meets who? Gabriel. I believe he meets a boy named Gabriel who really just like their relationship grows or whatever. But I was so tired in the 24-hour readathon, and I was listening to this, I kind of like really zoned out. But even if I didn't zone out, I would have no clue what's going on because like, oh my gosh, it was just like boring and just not fun. And I hate saying that about books because it's not like they deserve hate or whatever, and I'm not hating on it. It just wasn't for me. It was just really boring, and I did not know what was going on. I didn't care what was going on, honestly. I just didn't care for the characters at all. So I am going to be getting rid of this. I don't know, maybe someone will like it. Maybe it'll go to someone who really enjoys it, but I just didn't relate to it at all, and it wasn't fun, and it just wasn't good. I don't know. So yeah, the next 2 books I ended up picking up were The Girl from the Other Side Volume 3 and The Girl from the Other Side Volume 4. This is part of the manga series I'm currently reading, and that is The Girl from the Other Side. I am very invested in this manga series, and I'm super excited to see where it goes. I can't quite remember where it left off, honestly. So in the third one, let's start with the third one. So the third one, really fun and interesting, and we got to meet a new character, and There was some good shocking moments, but overall it was just kind of slow and boring for me. The ending didn't really have a cliffhanger at all for me. It didn't feel like a cliffhanger. This one was a 3 out of 5 stars, and the fourth one was a 4 out of 5 stars because they had some really cool, like, shocking moments in this book. The ending on this one was really weird and, like, disturbing and creepy, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen. So I need the 5th one yet. But yeah, I ended up reading the 3rd and 4th manga in the series. I'm currently reading The Girl from the Other Side. So yeah, these were really interesting. I'm really happy I read them, and I'm excited to see where it goes. The next book I ended up picking up was Guillot, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. It's another book by Junji Ito. This one is about parasites, I guess you could say. Parasites attaching to underwater creatures. It starts off like with underwater creatures, and then it just keeps building up. So there's like a stench in the air, and we realize that there's parasites attaching themselves to like fish and sharks in the beginning, and it's really creepy. The ending was not my favorite. It was like a weird ending in my opinion. It left off without answers in a way, but it was like kind of sweet, so like I don't mind it, I guess. 4 out of 5 stars. It was gross. It was definitely really gross. So yeah, now all I have left to read is Tomie, or Tomi. I think it's Tomie. That's what I've heard. So I have Tomie by him still to read, and then after I finish that one, which I'm planning to read in like October. The next book here that I ended up picking up is a graphic novel. So I was like really on a roll of reading manga, graphic novels, all that kind of like short stuff, but it was still a great time. So I read Heartstopper Volume 4. I got it in the mail not that long ago, and this one took me about 2 days to finish. Like I read half of it one night and then half of it the next night, and because of that I'm so used to reading them in just one sitting and just like absorbing it all. But because of that, it was a 4 out of 5 stars for me, because it was just not like I was forgetting what already happened, so I just had to like piece everything together, and it was perfect. It was such a perfect graphic novel, and it was so sweet, and the things discussed in this book are so important, and I loved it. It was just really, really great. Charlie's sister, I forgot her name, but Charlie's sister at the end, like towards the end, was so like such a good sister in that moment. It was so nice. I loved it. But I wish I would have read it in one sitting, because I feel like I would have really absorbed it so much more if I did that. I'm really happy about this one. It was so sweet and adorable. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It was so good. The next book I ended up picking up this summer was the second book to Small Spaces, and this is Dead Voices by Catherine Arden. I really like this one. It was another 3.5 out of 5 stars. Because it was like better than Small Spaces by a lot, but like the ending really confused me like a lot. This book was still so good though. It was super spooky, super scary. This one follows ghosts and like I'm not gonna say demonic stuff, but it seemed demonic to me. Like I don't like ghosts. I don't mess with ghosts, and when I read about them, it scares the heebie-jeebies out of me, or whatever you want to say. It had me so hooked. Like from the first half of the story, I was so invested in the characters and just the story itself. I read it in 3 days, and it was so interesting, and I was so invested. It was so scary. It follows the same set of characters, and when there's like this certain moment in the book where there's really a difficult time for communication. I don't know how to explain it without spoiling. It's really complex and very, very intricate. It was so interesting. It had a way of making you really dive in and think for yourself on how this would look in real life if you were in the story. It was really interesting for me. I really liked that part. But like I said, the ending so confused me. I did not understand it at all. 3.5 out of 5 stars is still a good rating. I can't wait to get the third book, which is already out. It's called Dark Waters. The next book I ended up finishing this summer is Sisters in Arms. This is my July pick of 2021, and this one was very good. I tabbed it quite a bit, and this was really, really good. This one took me about almost a whole month to finish, but it took me like 3 weeks to get through this entire book, and even though it took that long, it was still a really, really well-written book. I love Eliza and Grace. They're just so good. Like, they're really good characters. and I love them. And like the plot twists in here and the scary parts where, you know, life or death situations and just really sad moments, you could slowly see like Eliza and Grace's bond to form, and then they broke through so many moments where there was like strain in the relationship, and then they got through that, and it was so sweet, and there was romance, and it was so nice, and the ending like kind of wrapped up in a really sweet way, like you could imagine where it went from there, and I really liked it. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's about the first black women allowed to serve in the army, so a lot of it is focusing on the WAC, which is what they call it. I just called it WAC, but apparently it's WAC is how you say it. But yeah, it was just really, really good. There's so many great characters along the way. Jonathan? Jonathan was, oh my god, he's so sweet though. The things he did for Grace in this story were so cute. And the family relationships really struggled, but towards the end it was it just like automatically got better, which was a little confusing to me, but it was like good in a way. It was still really interesting and great. Like the family relationships definitely improved over time throughout the story, and there was some moments in here, like plot twists, that I feel like weren't fully discussed in a way, but that's why I rated it 4 to 5 stars. Overall, it was such a good book, and I'm really happy I read it. I'm happy it was my pick for July as well, because it was such a good book. The final book I ended up finishing this summer is The Taking of Jake Livingston. So I ended up reading The Taking of Jake Livingston. This was a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't the best. I was really liking it. I was really liking it. But there was like a final battle at the end of the story that really confused me. I was not there. I don't know what happened, but I wasn't connecting with it, and I was like really confused on what was going on. So that's why it wasn't the best, but like, it was so fun, and you meet new characters along the way, you meet love interests, and it's like really fun. But it wasn't my favorite, so I don't know. I was thinking I would get rid of this, but the spooky aspect was really there, and it really got me. It was really spooky and scary, but like overall, it's not something I think I'm ever really going to reread, but it was still really fun. So it was a book that I really liked, so I definitely recommend it. Maybe someone else will like it a little bit more than I did, but overall it was really fun. I don't know if I'll ever reread it, but you can obviously tell I liked it by the tabs. So that was the 16th book I read this summer, or finished this summer. I'm currently on my 17th book, I'm pretty sure, and that is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. I don't have very many thoughts on this because I am only on page 38, but it's really interesting so far. I am really interested in this so far. I started researching a little bit more into historical events because it starts off with the history of racism, and it's really sad. Some of the things they're talking about in here, or the author is telling us in here, really took me off guard because I never knew any of this happened, and it's really sad to learn about the history that I never knew about. So yeah, this is just to better myself and to really understand what goes on. I'm very happy I have this book, and I'm looking forward to finishing it up. Yeah, very sad. The events that happened that I never knew about just really shocked me, what goes on and what has been going on for so long. There's that book. That's the one I'm currently reading, so that's my 17th book, but I don't think I'll be finishing it in the summertime. These are all of the books I ended up finishing this summer. There's 16 in total, currently reading the 17th, but again, I'm not going to be finishing it this summer. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching today's video. I can't wait to keep reading more, and stay tuned for next week for my September TBR video. It's really fun. I had a great time filming that video, and it's already scheduled and ready to go. Thank you for watching today's video. I will see you next time on my channel. Bye!